Fox Sports.
We are Blackboard. We are Detroit.
Tigers baseball on Fox Sports Detroit is presented by Bell Tire. To say that Doug Fister pitched well in his last outing might be an understatement. Fister throwing 7 shutout innings against Boston at Fenway Park. The Tigers and Fister hoping for more of the same here today on a really warm day here in Kansas City. Welcome to Kauffman Stadium. Final game of the series featuring the Tigers and the Royals. Hi again, everyone. Welcome to Tigers Baseball. Mario and Pemba, Ron Allen. We are glad to have you with us here today. The temperature will be near 100 degrees. That's okay. They've got to deal with it down on the field. Doug Fister has to deal with it as well. And Fister has been awfully good, especially in his last start, Rod. A really good bounce-back outing from him.
You know, when Doug Fister is keeping that ball south of the knees, he's getting tons of ground balls, which he'll need to do today against this Kansas City Royals team. He'll also have to shut down the running game, which usually is no problem for him. And if you look back at the history of work since 2011, really no pitcher in the American League better than Doug second half of the season.
All right, now if there's a ground ball hit to shortstop in this game today, fasten your seatbelts because we have two of the best, Jose Iglesias and Alcides Escobar. These two guys have put up some really highlight plays this year.
You know, two different body types. If you start to look at Jose Iglesias, he's about 5'11". He's 21 years old, so he's a little younger than Escobar. But these guys have mad range. They have tremendous accuracy with their throwing arm. They do things that you don't see shortstops do. J.J. Hardy won the Gold Glove last year, but these two guys, they're going to fight over that Gold Glove the next couple of years. We talked about the other guy. That would be Escobar, Alcides Escobar. He's 6'1", he's 26 years old. His window a little shorter than Iglesias is, but these guys can really flat out get it done. Some of the plays that these guys are able to make are just absolutely sick. And I guarantee you, if you stay with us the entire game, you're going to see one of these two guys do something special today.
It really has been fun to watch. So is Prince Fielder. Fielder with a couple of RBIs in this series. And for Prince, he kind of goes unnoticed in this lineup because of Miguel Cabrera, Victor Martinez coming on, and all the talent they have. But Prince is kind of like that old shoe, very comfortable.
Well, just ask Ryan Braun, and then you ask Miguel Cabrera. And then after this year, after they hand out the hardware again, and Miguel takes home his second consecutive MVP, there's one guy that's one constant, and that's Prince Fielder, who has protected both of those guys the last 3 years. He's not having a great year from a batting average standpoint, but still does major damage. 22 home runs, 97 driven in, and he's picked it up at the perfect time. Victor Martinez has been sizzling hot in the month of July and August. Therefore, a lot of opposing pitchers, well, they're simply going after Prince Fielder now. That's why the batting average is up over 400 in the month of September. And every time there's a runner in scoring position, he has a knack of driving them in.
All right, now this Royals team is an energy team. They have a lot of guys that can really run, but a guy that has given them a lot of energy since coming over in a trade from Toronto is Emilio Bonifacio. This guy has really played well against the Tigers.
You know, he hit just .218 in 94 games for the Toronto Blue Jays, so they gave him to the Kansas City Royals, and Ned Yost said he has given them life, he has given them energy, and he is beating up on the Tigers. 8 for 26. He is stealing bases. He is driving in runs. Every time the Kansas City Royals have beaten the Tigers in the last 2 series, Bonifacio is right in the middle of it, and he can also play 6 different positions for his new club. He can play up the middle, he can play third base, he can play all 3 outfield spots. He's one guy Doug Fister simply has to shut down here today.
I get tired just watching this guy. Should be fun here this afternoon. Tigers and the Royals wrapping this up. After a short break, we'll send you back to the Call Sam Studios and Justin White. Coming up next, it is the rubber game of the match, the finale from the K. Tigers and Royals coming up next. And welcome back to Kauffman Stadium. We're in Kansas City this afternoon. The Tigers getting set to take on the Kansas City Royals on a hot, steamy day here in the Midwest. It is the third and final game in this series. Tigers baseball on Fox Sports Detroit is brought to you by Comerica Bank, a part of Detroit and the community since 1849. Jeep, rediscover the freedom of the open road at the Jeep Celebration event. And by Country Fresh Ice Cream and 2% Milk, share a pure moment. Well, the Tigers and Royals getting set to do battle here on a warm afternoon in the great Midwest. Glad to have you with us. The Tigers hoping to win this series with a victory here today in their starting lineup. Presented by the Southeast Michigan Ford dealers this afternoon. Austin Jackson leading it off, followed by Torrey Hunter and Miguel Cabrera. Prince Fielder is the DH. Victor Martinez at first base today. Dirks, then Infante Avila, and Iglesias wrapping it up in the Tigers starting lineup here this afternoon. And they are facing the left-handed offerings of Bruce Chen.
And Bruce Chen started the season in the bullpen for the Kansas City Royals. He has now made 10 starts, and he's got a pretty good record, 6-2. The ERA is under 3. 61 strikeouts and 27 base on balls in the league, hitting just .231 against the left-hander.
36-year-old Bruce Chen set to go to work. Here is the first pitch of today's ball game, and it's a strike called on Austin Jackson. 99 degrees is our game time temperature. 9-9. There's a ball low. 1 ball and 1 strike on Jackson.
Chen features a fastball that will go anywhere from 82 to 87 miles an hour. He's got a couple different breaking balls, the curveball, the slider, and the changeup.
Into center field, shallow, and caught on the run by Gerard Dyson. 1 gone.
Chen will also throw the ball from a lot of different arm slots. Let's take a look at the Kansas City Royals starting defense, brought to you by Tim Hortons. Gordon, Dyson, and Kane in the outfield. Kane getting his first start of the series. Up the middle, they have Escobar and Bonifacio. He's been a Tiger killer since they got him from the Blue Jays. Hosmer, Moustakas on the corners, and Kataris is the catcher this afternoon.
Salvi Perez getting the day off today after catching and hitting a big home run, the game-winning home run as it was for Kansas City last night. Torrey Hunter, the batter, batting .301, just 2 for 8 in the series. He has a double. And Hunter sends a ground ball to third. Right there is Moustakas. And there are 2 outs in the Tigers' first. That'll bring up Miguel Cabrera. For Cabrera, 2 for 5 in the series. He has knocked in 3 runs. And against Bruce Chen, awfully good. 441 with 5, count them, 5 home runs versus the lefty. And he looks at a strike at the upper reaches of the strike zone. 0-1. Ted Barrett is your home plate umpire today, so he'll be challenged up and down in the extreme heat. Here's a bouncing ball to third, right at Moustakas. And Chen is going to have himself an easy 1-2-3 inning on just 7 pitches. And we'll go to the bottom of the first. Noon and the KC starting lineup presented by the Metro Detroit Chevy dealers. And for KC, it's Gordon, Bonifacio, and Hosmer at the top. Billy Butler, the DH, is cleaning up, followed by Mike Moustakas and Lorenzo Cain in the starting lineup today. Kataris, Dyson, and Escobar, your bottom three, and they are facing Doug Fister, who today is presented by Family Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
You know by now, Doug Fister throws a ton of ground balls. He's already won 12 games this year looking for number 13, and which every win he gets, he's taxed on to a new career high.
So it'll be Alex Gordon to test him here first. Fister really good in his last start against the Red Sox at Fenway. That was on the heels of giving up a season-high 7 runs.
Did not give up a run in that ballpark, as hot as that offense has been for Boston.
First pitch is in for a strike on Alex Gordon. 3 for 7 in the series. He has a 2-base hit and batting .269 this year. 75 RBIs for Gordon, and a good portion of those have come in the leadoff spot. Drives this one in the air to center field, right at Austin Jackson. One gone.
Let's take a look at the rest of the Detroit Tigers defensive alignment. Victor Martinez is getting the start over at first base. Prince Fielder, the DH. It is the 11th start this season at first base for Victor Martinez.
And when he is out there, he acquits himself extremely well.
He enjoys getting back behind the plate, playing some first base. Although he has been an outstanding designated hitter, it is always fun to play both sides of the ball.
Emilio Bonifacio stands in, batting in the 2 spot again today for the Royals. Bonifacio 3 for 7 in the series.
And we spent some time on Bonifacio in our open today. He has been sensational against Detroit pitching in the last 2 series. One at Comerica Park, and he's not been bad in this series here at the K.
Bonifacio traded on August 14th from the Blue Jays to the Royals, and he joins an organization that also has his brother as a part of it. His brother's a pretty good prospect at Double-A Jorge.
I found it quite fascinating that Ned Yost said that Bonifacio has given them life and energy, and it appears they have a team full of guys that have life and energy.
A lot of speed on this team, and we've documented over the past couple of days how they really get it done in different ways, the Tigers and the Royals. And this KC team, well, even though they play a lot of small ball, they got a big home run yesterday. Salvador Perez, a 2-run shot, and it turned out to be the difference. Two balls, 2 strikes, and it's lifted in the air toward left, and he dirks under it. 2 up, 2 down. Bring up Eric Hosmer. Hosmer this series 1 for 6. He has scored a couple of times. He has stolen a base. That average hovering around 300. He's at 298. Hosmer looks at strike 1.
Good cut fastball there at 88 miles an hour, thrown by Doug Fister at the top of the zone inside. You want to pitch Hosmer up. He loves the ball down in the zone.
Now quickly 0-2.
And even though Fister's a ground ball pitcher and you want to work down, there are certain guys where you simply have to elevate the fastball every now and then, and Hosmer would be one of those guys.
Now Doug ready with the 0-2. One is up, but it's also in. 1-2.
And Fister can go a couple different ways now. He can come back with a swing back fastball to catch the inside corner, or he can fade that real good changeup down and away to Eric.
Hosmer takes, and it just missed.
Went curveball outside, tried to catch the outside corner with that pitch.
2-2 on the Royals first baseman Eric Hosmer. 70 RBIs this year. Avila back behind the dish, flashing signs. Here's the 2-2. Ground ball to third, right at Cabrera. I think he had it played perfectly, and Hosmer is out. 1-2-3 inning for Doug Fister, and we go to the second, no score. 98 degrees right now here at the ballpark as we check out the forecast for today. Sunny and plenty of sunshine and plenty of heat. As the Tigers and Royals wrap up this series, plenty of water, hopefully, for those in attendance today.
That is an absolute must.
Fielder Martinez and Dirks coming to the plate here in the top of the second. Bruce Chen needed just 7 pitches to get through the top of the first inning. And Fielder looks at strike one.
Chen already made one start this year against the Tigers. We told you he started the season in the bullpen for Kansas City, and in that one start he made against the Tigers, he was not very good. They tacked 6 earned runs on him, and he lost that game.
Chen is 36 years of age now. In fact, he's in the last year of his contract here, so he's a free agent following this season. Here's the 1-1. That is in the air. Tigers hit a lot of fly balls in this series. This one straight at Gerard Dyson, one gone. So Chen now has retired 4 straight to start this game. And bring up Victor Martinez. Tigers one more here, and then it's on in Chicago, a 3-game series, and then we are back home for the final homestand of the regular season.
Where has the season gone?
It's certainly gone by very quickly, and the Tigers can hopefully find themselves in postseason play again this year. They check into play today. Their lead in the Central 5.5.
What a blessing it is to cover such a competitive team day in and day out. I'm betting that's one of the reasons why it doesn't seem like the season has been that lengthy.
It does make it go much more quickly, doesn't it? 5.5 up on Cleveland. KC 8 back. That's fouled back out of play. 0-2 the count. Jim Leyland again this year with another really strong group. Oh, 2. And Victor skies one in the air to right field. Hit pretty well, but Lorenzo Cain going back. And a couple of fly ball outs here in the second. 2 gone for the Tigers. And we remind you, if the Tigers combine for 3 or more home runs in this game, bring a copy of the box score to a participating Arby's location tomorrow, and you shall receive a free small order of curly fries. 2 down now. Here is Andy Dirks. Dirks at 262. Looks at a ball outside. You saw the numbers pretty good against Chen. 6 for 17. It's not a usual case when you will send a lefty out there to face Bruce Chen, but the numbers this year indicate that lefties have had a little bit better success against Chen than righties.
Bruce doesn't use his changeup very often to left-handed batters. Therefore, he is 1 pitch short, and that's why left-handers do a better job against him. Also, not a hard thrower, not a great breaking pitch, but he does a better job against righties because he does have that changeup that fades down and away from them.
And because of that, righties hitting just .214 against Chen. That's driven high in the air to right field, where Lorenzo Cain is coming in, and 3 fly ball outs. Another 1-2-3 inning for Chen. Fister back to work after a 1-2-3 first inning. He'll have Billy Butler here in the second. Butler, then Moustakas, and then Lorenzo Cain for the Royals. 2 out of 7 with an RBI in the series for Butler. And Billy now enjoying a 6-game hitting streak. And Fister socks him off with a strike on the inside part of the plate, 0-1. Doug needed just 12 pitches in that first inning, 8 of which were strikes. Here's the 0-1. Outside, 1 ball, 1 strike. Butler's on base percentage this year has been elevated. In fact, it usually is every season, but this year at 380, which is good for 7th best in the American League.
He has walked more this year than he has ever in his big league career, and the reason for that is a lot of teams were pitching around him earlier, and with Moustakas struggling in the middle of that batting order, Billy didn't have much help behind him, so teams just took the luxury of kind of pitching around him.
And as a result, 72 walks, a career high. He'll shoot that one to center field. That'll drop in, base hit. And Butler starts it off with a single here in the second. Well, we mentioned how warm it is today, and Doug Fister talks about what it's like to pitch in near 100-degree weather.
It's a lot about the mental toughness of not letting it affect you. Going into the game saying, you know what, it's going to be hot, but everybody's going to have to play under the same conditions. Make sure you're hydrated, eat well beforehand, and go out there and play hard.
You're wearing the beard now. Would the beard come off knowing you're going to be pitching in this kind of heat?
No, it's just the beard's kind of a lazy thing. You know, I haven't got after it and shaved it yet. So, you know, we'll see how it goes.
Here is Mike Moustakas, and he looks at a strike. Said one interesting thing there, and that of course is stay hydrated and eat well before the game, and that's something that these athletes certainly have to do on a consistent basis.
And it's not just starting to hydrate yourself last night, because it's too late if you start last night. You have to start hydrating yourself like on Friday, anticipating the heat that you're going to see on Saturday and Sunday here.
1 ball, 1 strike on Moustakas. Leadoff single here by Butler in the second. A check swing, strike called.
Doug Fister looking for the ground ball. No pitcher in the American League has thrown as many ground ball double plays as Fister has thrown, 24 to be exact. And Moustakas has grounded into 11 this season.
And the 1-2 is fouled back out of play.
Something else Moustakas has done very well, he has hit Doug Fister. His number's not real good against other Tiger starters, but for whatever reason, he sees the ball very well against Doug.
Overall for Moustakas this year, 234. He has hit 11 home runs, including a walk-off game winner here a couple of days ago. Here's the 1-2. Bouncing ball foul, first base side.
Here's what I was telling you about Doug Fister. He has thrown a lot of ground balls this year, and as a result of that, he gets lots of double plays.
Trying to get one here from Moustakas. And the 1-2. Got him, strike 3. That'll work. Moustakas punched out of there, and that'll be the first strikeout of the ballgame.
Moustakas had a .368 batting average coming into this at-bat against Doug Fister. We're going to make it our bell tire pitch by pitch. First pitch, cutter inside. Then he's got that two-seam fastball that faded right back over the inside corner. He's going to get back to that fading fastball for strike 3. And all Moustakas could do was watch it go by.
So with 1 out here is Lorenzo Cain, starting in right field today for KC, and he looks at ball 1 high. Cain's been on the disabled list recently with a bad oblique. In fact, he missed 25 games and was recently taken off the DL. Here's Fister's 1-0. Bouncing ball hit slowly towards short. Iglesias on the charge. Quick flip for 1. That's all they'll get. They get the lead runner, 2 gone.
Iglesias told me today that shin splint's still a little sore, but he's still good enough to go, obviously, because Jim has him in the starting lineup. He gets the ball to Santiago, but Cain could really run. Omar really didn't even need to finish that play by throwing it over to Victor Martinez.
So with 2 outs, that'll bring up the catcher Kataris. George Kataris is hitting 187. He's had a couple of at-bats in the series, 1 for 2. And he looks at a strike, 0-1. Kane at first base, 12 steals. He's been caught 4 times. Pfister will throw back. Told you how difficult it has been over the years to run on Doug Pfister. Very quick to the plate, and certainly will be challenged if the Royals get some base runners here today. There's another throw, and again, it appeared that Kane was leaning a little bit towards second.
And Kansas City Royals have 6 players in their starting lineup today that Ned Yost gives the green light to. Unless they get stopped by the third base coach, Eddie Rodriguez. They can go whenever they want to go.
Ball inside. 1-1.
And because of that, they lead the majors in stolen bases by a pretty good margin.
Royals have swiped 133 bases this year. Runner goes. Here comes the throw. It's a little bit high, but in time. Avila with a perfect peg down to second base. They catch Kane, and the inning is over. Nothing doing for the Royals and Tigers baseball today. Presented by Belt Tire.
Of course, the issue on Doug Pfister, even though we've already told you he's very difficult to run on, and Kane attempting to steal a base here in the bottom half of the second inning, and is thrown out by Alex Avila. But take a look at Avila here in the exchange here. As soon as he gets that ball in his glove, the feet are already turned. He was anticipating Kane was going to try to steal, and he was able to make a nice throw down to Iglesias.
Omar Infante will lead it off now as we go to the top of the third. Bruce Chen has gotten the Tigers 1, 2, 3 in each of the first 2 innings in this game.
Tigers had gone 24 consecutive stolen bases against them without throwing out the opposition.
Well, that's a good streak to end. Once in the air to center field, right at Dyson.
Brian Pena actually ended that last night when he threw out Bonifacio at second base, and now Avila throws out Kane, so they're 2 for their last 2.
Meanwhile, 5 of the first 7 outs for Chen have been recorded via the fly ball.
Last night it was Alex Gordon who was very busy getting lots of fly ball outs in left field. Today it's been Dyson and Kane.
Avila in the series has a double. He's 3 for 6. 40 driven in this year for the Tigers catcher. Chen has gone 7 up, 7 down here at the start of this ball game, and Avila slaps one to left. That's a base hit. Tigers have their first hit of the game, 1 on, 1 out.
Looked like Avila made a conscious effort of getting on top of the baseball here after so many of his teammates have already popped up here today. Strong top hand ball right around the belt buckle, spanked to left field by Alex.
Here's Iglesias. Each ball club now with 1 hit. Iglesias .319 this season.
He's good for at least 1 bunt base hit today.
Fouled straight back 0-1.
Easier to bunt guys that don't throw hard like Chen, as long as you stay in the batter's box long enough to allow the ball to get in the hitting zone before you attempt to bunt it. Guys that throw hard are tough to bunt on, but guys like Chen, you could bunt for a base hit easy against guys like him.
Iglesias has also been able to bunt under pressure with a couple of squeeze plays this year. He drives this one high in the air to left field. Hit well. Gordon is on the run. He'll turn up and look and gone. It's out of here. A 2-run shot for Iglesias.
He can't even run.
As he hobbles around the bases, Iglesias has been hampered by shin splints, but it did not affect that swing. That bunt's going to have to wait.
I guess so.
2-run shot for Iglesias.
He's pulling a Miguel Cabrera. He knows that he can't run right now because his legs aren't healthy, so he just wants to trot around the base paths. That's concerning, though, however.
It's real concerning because it looks like it might be tough for him to finish this game. I mean, he was hobbled around the bags. Here's Austin Jackson.
That's his 3rd home run this season.
Well, the Tigers hit another fly ball, but this one carries out. Iglesias number 3, RBIs 27 and 28. You can see Iglesias really labored to get around the bags. Here's the 0-2, and it's popped up down the right field line, slicing and foul just out of the reach of Kane. Hands out a souvenir.
Iglesias had told me when the Tigers acquired him that the best advice that he got toward the end of last season he got from Omar Vizquel, and Omar Vizquel told him, put your glove away. Don't take 1 ground ball this offseason, but put on a few pounds and work on your hitting. And that's exactly what Iglesias did this offseason, and because of that, he has himself in the Rookie of the Year conversation. And it's not because of his glove, it's because of his bat, too.
Jackson waiting on an 0-2. And he'll be given time. Which begs the question, when you're thinking about that award, defense has to come into play a little bit, doesn't it?
Oh, for sure.
I mean, that is always considered an offensive award when you look at some of the guys that have won it in the past. They put up big offensive numbers, but an equal part of Iglesias' game is his glove. Chen now with the 1-2. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Jackson. 2-run homer from an unlikely source, the number 9 hitter Jose Iglesias. Ground ball, second base side. Bonifacio has it. And Jackson is retired. 2 gone now, and just a reminder as you enjoy a cold one to look forward to Miller Time later in today's game. It is brought to you by Miller Lite. 2 down now for Torrey Hunter. He grounded out his first time up. And a ball high, 1-0. Hunter with 49 multi-hit games this year. That's 6th best in the American League. He shoots this one to right field, straight at Kane. And the inning is over. Big inning, though, for the Tigers. They get a single by Avila, and then Iglesias plays long ball. They hit one out to left. 2-0 Detroit. On that list, Will Myers, Chris Archer of the Rays, and J.B. Shuck of the Angels.
You have three guys that two that play in the American League East, and you have one in Iglesias who started his big league career playing in the American League East, and you have J.B. Shuck playing out west.
Pfister back to work, enjoying a 2-0 lead now as we go to the bottom of the third. It'll be Kataris, Dyson, and then Escobar against the right-hander.
And it's not that Iglesias isn't deserving enough for the Rookie of the Year award. I'm going to give it to him. I think the Boston writers are going to vote for him because he spent some time in their uniform. And when you start talking about the two kids from Tampa, that's not a big market, so they're not going to get a lot of votes there. And I think Tigers playing, or whoever is going to vote, and I think Iglesias is going to get it.
There's a ground ball hit to second base, ranging left. Infante has it. Throws a little bit wide, but they got it. Well, you know, I guess I had never thought of that angle in terms of getting a lot of the votes from
Boston writers.
Yeah,
Boston he's going to get a lot of those votes.
You know, I think that you know, when you look at it on the surface, certainly Archer, you've got to delve into his numbers a little bit more to see where he stacks up. But he's having a really good year as a rookie. Will Myers might have gotten to the big leagues maybe a tad late to put up the huge numbers.
He's going to win his fair share of awards in his big league career. He's legit.
Oh, that he will. Good player. Gerard Dyson, the batter. Of course, the fans here in KC know all about Will Myers. He was dealt away in the James Shields trade. Dyson has the third baseman Cabrera on the grass. And he looks at a ball inside.
As hard as that deal was for Dayton Moore to make, and you know it was a very difficult deal to give up on one of the best prospects in the minor leagues in Will Myers, their team is better as a result of it.
Here's the 1-1 pitch. 2 balls and 1 strike. Well, it certainly took some guts. I don't think there's any doubt about that, because they were clamoring here the last year to get Will Myers to the big leagues. And they certainly can use a middle of the order type bat, but when you get a James Shields to shore up one of the areas he needed to shore up, pitching, he had to make the move. Jackson runs that one down, and Dyson is out.
Ironically enough, Doug Pfister is one of the best ground ball artists in the American League, but he gets these table setters, the guys that can really run like Bonifacio and Dyson, to pop the ball up in the air to keep them off the base paths.
Why is that?
Change-ups. He gets them out on that front foot. These guys usually get fastballs, and because they're out on that front foot, they usually get underneath the baseball and pop it straight up.
Here's Alcides Escobar. Couple of hits in this series. He shows bunts. If you're a third baseman and you're playing the Royals, more times than not throughout the course of the game, you're going to play in. I mean, there's so many guys that can drop down a bunt that can run. Bonifacio, Dyson, Escobar in this lineup. Kane as well. There's a strike call. So your tendency is to play in a step or two at the very least. Home run by Iglesias, 2-0 in favor of the Tigers here. And a little soft line drive to left field, dropping in. 2-out single for Escobar. Royals have their second hit of the game. By the way, you can vote for your Tigers McDonald's Player of the Game today. It's presented by the new Quarter Pounder BLT. Using your cell phone, text Tigers, then a space, then the player's uniform number to 37338. Or if you'd like, vote online at foxsportsdetroit.com. Top of the order now, Alex Gordon stands in. Flied out to center field in the first inning and takes ball 1. Big swing and a miss there. 1 ball, 1 strike. Gordon this year has spent most of his time in the leadoff spot. He has, though, had a spell in the number 3 hole in their lineup, and when he bats third, he hits nearly 400. A pretty good amount of at bats too. Ned Yost has him in the leadoff slot, and over the last couple of weeks, he's hit over 300 batting leadoff. Here's the 1-1 high fly ball. Center field hit pretty good. playable though, and that is out number 3. Nothing doing for the Royals here in the 3rd. As we go to the 4th, Miguel Cabrera will lead things off for Detroit.
August 18th, it was the very first pitch that Miguel Cabrera saw that afternoon from Bruce Chen, and he hit his 5th career home run against the Royals starting pitcher. Strangely enough to that, the night before, Miguel Cabrera hit a walk-off home run against Aaron Crow to beat the Kansas City Royals.
Well, Cabrera in this series has knocked in 3. He is 0 for 1 in this game. Tigers on top 2-0. Jose Iglesias with a 2-run shot, the difference so far in this game. 2-0 the count. Chen will face Cabrera. Fielder Martinez here in the Tigers' 4th. That's in for a strike, 2-1.
Miggy sporting the glasses this afternoon, trying to cut down the glare.
2-2 the count. Cabrera with 133 RBIs this year, leading the American League.
He's going to take home his 2nd consecutive MVP trophy, too.
Here's the 2-2 pitch, and it's driven to right field. That'll be caught on the run by Kane. 1 gone, and time for a game break now. Here's Mickey York. All right, Mick, thanks. It'd be nice if the Tigers could get some help from the Mets. The Indians not going anywhere. They're 1 game out of the wild card and only 5.5 behind Detroit. Time running short, though, here in September as Fielder stands in. Prince 0 for 1, fly to center field back in the 2nd. Sends a ground ball to the right side, scooped up there by Hosmer. Chen will cover. 2 up, 2 down.
The Cleveland Indians, they're cool now that they don't have the Tigers on their schedule any longer. The Tigers just manhandled the Tribe this year.
Yeah, that's a good point. They're probably pretty happy not to see the Tigers at all. But it's going to be a great race with that added wild card. More cities now certainly have an opportunity to get to postseason. And the Indians trail it by a game. Baltimore is a game out of the wild card. It's going to be interesting. Here's Martinez. Victor with 2 outs. He flied to right field back in the 2nd. And that is ball 1. You and I were talking about this a little bit before the game. Cleveland, Kansas City. If you had to take one team going forward, which one would it be?
I would take Kansas City all day, every day. Every day.
I agree. Yet the Indians are higher in the standings, but when you break down the rosters, what they have here in Kansas City in the bullpen, good young talent.
Hosmer in the middle of that batting order with Billy Butler, an emerging Salvador Perez.
It's a good team. The 1-1. Driven toward the gap in left center field. Dyson is on the run. Even he won't get this one. It'll go to the wall. Extra bases for Victor Martinez, and he will pull in with a 2-out double.
We saw Altavilla do it a couple of innings ago where he got on top of a fastball and hit the ball the other way. Victor Martinez, he also takes one that's around the belt buckle, gets down through it. Very strong top hand, which creates that backspin. And Victor able to drive that ball into the left center field gap.
Second extra base hit in as many innings for the Tigers. A double by Martinez, his 31st of the year. Now Andy Dirks in search of a 2-out hit to score him. It sails outside 1-0. Andy flied out his first time up, 5 for 8 in the series.
Those 5 hits coming in one game a couple of nights ago where he and Omar Fonte both had 5 hits in the same game.
Yeah, Friday night was special. I saw Andy after the game in the elevator back at the hotel. I said, nice work tonight. He said, yeah, it's a pretty good night. I said, pretty good night.
That's him, though.
It is him.
Very humble young man.
1-1. In there, 1-2 on Dirks. Here's the other 5-hit guy the other night. Infante waiting on deck.
Last time Tigers players had 2 guys with 5 hits in a game. You got to go back to the Ty Cobb era.
The wave and a miss. Dirks is out. Chen with a strikeout. Tigers waste a 2-out double. Fan poll question of the game. Where would you choose to go for great barbecue? Would it be A, Kansas City, B, Memphis, C, Texas, or D, Carolina? Text ACE, then a space, and A, B, C, or D to 37338 and cast your votes. They're all really good.
Arthur Bryant's and barbecue there. My favorite, however, is Gates Barbecue.
Here in Kansas City?
Yes, indeed.
I'm with you. In a 3-game series, try and get there at least once, twice, 3 times. You really can't do a whole lot of them.
Oh, it's good, though.
It is really good.
It's good.
Bonifacio leads it off for the Royals. We play in the bottom of the 4th. Hosmer, then Butler to follow, and a wave and a miss. Well, Doug Fister threw 40 pitches to get through 3 innings. He has given up just 2 singles. He's looked good today. Bonifacio with a fly ball is 0 for 1. Now the 0-2. Just off the plate.
And Bonifacio hitting better than 300 with his new team, the Kansas City Royals. He was hitting just 218 in 94 games with the Toronto Blue Jays before they traded him to Kansas City. And he said the change of scenery has been remarkable for him.
Well, you often wonder if that really does have an effect on a player, but I guess you go to a new team and just new surroundings, a new voice. And apparently it's worked for Bonifacio. They had a really good lineup there in Toronto. It's been hampered by injuries, though. They're pitching as well. 3-2 on Bonifacio. But he has certainly found a home here in KC, at least for the second half of this season.
Well, going into next year, Dayton Moore is going to have to find a leadoff hitter because Gordon's better suited to hit in the middle of the batting order. And they have to find a second baseman to stabilize the infield.
And he walked him. Didn't want to do that. The leadoff man is on.
Let's take a peek at Bonifacio and some of the damage he's been able to do in his new uniform against the Tigers. We talked about this a little earlier. For whatever reason, he has shown up against Tigers pitching. He puts everything in play. He's hit a lot of line drives. When he gets on base, he is absolutely fearless at taking the next base. He steals second. He steals third. And strangely enough, the knock on him was not a good defensive player in Toronto. He's played well defensively here for the Kansas City Royals.
There's a strike called on Eric Hosmer. Hosmer is 0 for 1 with a ground ball. That was back in the first inning. He taps that one foul down the first base line. No balls, 2 strikes. What does Bonifacio have on his hand there?
I guess there have been times where the hand gets stepped on, so he has it well guarded right now. It's like a mitten. It's worn out, whatever it is.
Fisker almost threw that one away.
It could be diving back into the bag, too, to protect you from jamming your fingers.
That's what I was thinking of.
Could be used for a couple different things. He was thrown out last night by Brian Pena trying to steal his 14th consecutive base. And with his new team, he is now 13 of 14 with Kansas City in the steal department.
The 0-2. Driven to center field. Jackson on the move. He'll play it on one hop. Bonifacio will go to second base. And now the Royals with a walk and a single here to start the fourth.
The last time Eric Hosmer was up, I brought up the point that Doug Fister's a ground ball pitcher, but against Hosmer, because he loves the ball down and he does so much damage down there, that you try to elevate to see if you can get him to chase it. But Hosmer was able to fight that one off for a solid single.
And KC now with 3 hits on the board. Tigers up 2-0 on the home run by shortstop Jose Iglesias. And Billy Butler singled back in the second.
And Doug Fister 1 pitch away from getting out of this jam with Billy Butler standing in the batter's box, as good as he is as a hitter. And he does not get out of the batter's box very well and does not run very well. Therefore, he is grounded into a lot of double plays.
Butler, you hate to see him in this situation because he hits really well with men in scoring position. But as you mentioned, the 23 double plays really sticks out.
Something's got to give.
Far and away the highest mark on the Royals team. Fisker trying to get that ground ball. He has thrown 50 total. Butler is 353 with men in scoring position. And he sends a ground ball. It's going to find a hole, though, into left field. Bonifacio coming around to score, and Butler with an RBI single as the first 3 Royals reach here in the fourth. 2-1 ball game.
It's a fastball that was inside. Billy didn't hit it on the sweet part of the bat, but still got enough of it to get it to the left of Miguel Cabrera into left field to plate Bonifacio. There's Bonifacio again.
Well, leadoff walks, how many times do we tell you they're not good? And the leadoff walk scored here.
Yeah, Jim always talks about that. He says everybody wants to talk about the leadoff walk. in the 9th inning, and because usually that results in you winning and losing the game. He said, but what about the leadoff walk in the first, leadoff walk in the third? They're just as detrimental.
That's a good point, and the Royals have scored one here. Mike Moustakas, the batter. Ball high and away, 2-0.
And to be frankly honest with you, you really didn't expect anything but a close game here today against Kansas City. That's just the way the season series has gone.
Last night was another one-run game, which made it 8 one-run contests in the season series between the two teams. 8 out of the 15 games they played. It's up and in, and that's what made the first game on Friday night kind of an anomaly when the Tigers just ran away with it. They pounded out 26 hits in that game and won 16-2. Now it's 3-0 on Moustakas.
And we've seen the Moustakas swing 3 balls, no strikes this season.
He will not there, and he takes a strike. He let go with the bat, but he's called back by Ted Barrett.
Well, Ted Barrett may have given Doug Fister one. I was getting ready to write base on balls in my scorebook.
Moustakas thought it was a walk. Should have been. Doug will take it. Now would have loaded the bases with nobody out. Bluff to second base. 2 runs, 3 hits for Detroit. 1 run, 4 hits for KC. They're threatening for more here in the 4th. In the air to shallow left field. Dirks is in his tracks. Runners tagging but holding. 1 gone. So that's a big turn of events there.
Well located pitch on 3-1 by Doug Fister, which is away from him. And I don't know if Moustakas is upset at Ted Barrett for calling that 3-0 pitch a strike, or if he's upset at himself for popping up that pitch.
1 out, and here's Kane. Well, the Royals could have bases loaded, nobody out here. Instead, 1 away, and Kane looks at a ball outside.
And Fister doing a nice job at making sure that Hosmer doesn't steal third base. Royals like to steal second. They will also steal third. And yes, Hosmer's a first baseman, but he has 11 steals.
More than any other first baseman in the American League. In the air to center. Jackson on the move. He'll get there for the out. Hosmer will tag, and he will move up. So Fister gets a couple of fly balls. 2 gone now, and a chance to get out of this mess as George Kataris stands in. Kataris bounced out his first time up, 0 for 1. He was a really good pickup last year by the Oakland Athletics, who made the charge to get into the postseason late, and Kataris was a part of that. The A's were actually 17-8 in the 25 games that he caught and/or played in. We commented oftentimes during the postseason about the, I hate to use the word patchwork lineup that the A's had, but they certainly brought in a lot of different players from a lot of different areas, minor leagues, other teams, and then got into the postseason before the Tigers bounced them out. Ball 1 inside. Kataris is a native of Canada. In fact, he grew up just outside of Toronto. Here's the 1-0. Breaking ball dives in for a strike. 1-1. Fister at 60 pitches now as we play here in the 4th. On the outside corner as Kataris walks out of the box.
And Fister has decided to go to off-speed pitches to Kataris. The previous pitch was a real good curveball, and he followed that one up with a nice changeup. .72% of the 61 pitches Doug has thrown today have been fastballs.
Tigers led 2-0 on the Iglesias home run, then a walk to Bonifacio, single by Hosmer, single by Butler. We made it 2-1. That's where we are right now. Tying run at third base. Missed it high and away. 2-2. Waiting on deck, Gerard Dyson. Taken high. Now the count will go to 3-2 on Gutierrez, which means Butler will get a head jump at first base. Victor will play behind him now. And the 3-2. He got him, strike three. Gutierrez didn't like it, but he's out of there. And the inning is over. Minimal damage done as the Royals settle for 1 run. 4 in the books here in KC. Pfister, a big strikeout that closed down the 4th inning. Sports Detroit is brought to you by Arby's. Try Arby's Snack and Save menu today. Arby's, slicing up freshness. And by Bell Tire. Get the lowest tire price, period. Bell Tire. Back here in Kansas City, where the Tigers and the Royals are going at it here. Top of the 5th inning, 2-1 in favor of Detroit. Kauffman Stadium is one of the more picturesque venues in the American League, but it also has plenty for the kids to do.
And babies out there trying to stay cool.
Yeah, any way you can do it. Infante, Avila, and Iglesias here in the 5th inning. And Omar in the ball game, flied out to center. He's 0 for 1. Tigers have 3 hits. Royals have 4. Bruce Chen goes back to work. And Omar looks at a strike, 0-1. Infante now 5 for 10 in the series. 8 hits on the road trip for Detroit. And a ground ball left side, deep in the hole. Escobar, tough play, jump stop, throw, not in time. Hosmer tried to cheat as much as he could there, coming off the bag, but he's safe.
We talked about both of these shortstops at the beginning of the game. Both guys have a tremendous amount of range. Escobar, he's about 6'1", so he's got that rangy, long body and long arms and a very strong throwing arm. Really strong arm at that shortstop position. And 2 of your better athletic shortstops in baseball. We've seen an infusion of really good young shortstops in baseball overall lately.
It's amazing to me that he didn't even bounce that ball in from midair on the fly to Hosmer, but it's an infield single, and now Avila showing bunt.
Moustakas didn't move, as a matter of fact. He backed up 3 steps. Go ahead and do that if you want to.
He ought to do it. Got a ton of room down there. They are giving it to him. Chen will throw back to first base. Avila had a single right ahead of the Iglesias home run back in the third. Chen started the game by retiring 7 straight before giving up a 2 spot in the third inning. Now the 1-0. Avila takes outside, 2 balls, no strikes. Since the All-Star break, Alex has really picked it up offensively. Of course, he spent some time on the concussion list, but since the break, he's at 291. Sends a ground ball to first. Hosmer tags the bag 1. You got a tag play at second for the double play. 2 gone.
Hosmer's got some real soft hands over at first base, and he has really good feet for a first baseman. Simply grabs the ball, tags the bag, and look at where the throw is here on the inside part of the base to Escobar to complete the double play.
Base is empty now for Iglesias, and he looks at strike 1. Jose with a 2-run homer back in the third, his third of the season. And he pops this one up. Shallow center field. Dyson is under it to quickly end the inning. No runs, 1 hit, nobody left. Tigers baseball today, presented by Bell Tire. Who is the first player in Major League history to play all 9 positions in a single game? All 9 positions in a single game. Who was the first one to do it in Major League history? Good luck on that one. You don't have to go really far.
You don't?
No, typically in questions like this, you got to go back to the 20s or 30s, the 40s.
It's not one of those today?
Negative. It's gettable, as they say. All right, here's Pfister back to work. It is still 2-1 as we go to the bottom of the 5th, and Gerard Dyson trying to bunt his way on 0-1. Nope, they say did not offer. 1-0. Dyson, then Escobar, and then Gordon facing Doug Pfister, who left a couple of runners on in the last half inning, pitching out of a jam, allowing just 1 run. Dyson fouls it back, 1-1. Dyson with 30 stolen bases. And he's gone back-to-back seasons now with at least 30 swipes. The last Royal to do that was Carlos Beltran back in 2003. The 1-1. Dropped it foul. 1-2 on Dyson.
I forgot Beltran was a Kansas City Royal. They had some good ones. Jermaine Guy, Johnny Damon, all those guys started their big league careers with Kansas City, but they outgrew the market. Kansas City couldn't afford them anymore.
Now the 1-2. Checked it. They will appeal. He went around. So says Alfonso Marquez.
And Pfister doing a very nice job with some of these table setters, guys like Dyson. We told you they always look for fastballs, so you throw them off speed pitches. You get them out on that front foot. Then they have a difficult time of holding up, so they either strike out or they pop up. Those guys that run like Dyson and Bonifacio, they're so accustomed to getting fastballs because the opposing pitchers don't want to walk them. But guys that can command their off-speed pitches like Sanchez, Pfister, they can do nice work against them.
3 strikeouts now for Doug. Strike 1 on Alcides Escobar, who singled back in the 3rd. He'll shoot this one to center field right at Jackson. 2 gone. Back up to the top of the order now. Pfister looked like he was teetering a little bit in that 4th inning after the leadoff walk, then back-to-back hits, but he really came back nicely. And he got a big call on what looked like it was going to be ball 4 to Moustakas to load the bases with nobody out, but he got the benefit of the doubt. Then he got Moustakas to fly out. Gordon is 0 for 2. He is flied out to center twice. And floats in for a strike, 0-1. One ball and 1 strike on Gordon. Here's the 1-1. 2 balls and 1 strike. Well, since 2011, September has been Pfister's month.
Gives him a legitimate chance of winning every time he's taken the ball in the month of September the last couple of years.
9-1. Swing and a miss.
Good cut fastball, 89 miles an hour. Just outstanding cutting action. Doug Pfister does not throw a straight fastball. Everything moves.
Now the 2-2. Fouled straight back.
92, that's about as high as Doug Pfister will go. His fastball usually tops out at 91 every single day. I guess the weather is 99 degrees out there today, probably real loose by now.
Missed it inside. Fill it now at 3-2. Pfister has given the Tigers a quality start in 20 of his first 28. There's Bonifacio waiting on deck. Fouled back out of play.
You'd be hard-pressed to find 5 better starters than the 5 that the Tigers run out there every day. Porcello, Pfister, Sanchez, Scherzer, and Justin Verlander.
And the 3-2 again. Ground ball, first base side, off the glove of Martinez. He'll have no play. Infield hit. 2-out single for Gordon. Victor sprawling out to his right, just couldn't corral it.
Looked like Victor may have slipped right when he was getting ready to leave his feet for that ball, therefore didn't make the play. Don't know if he would have made it anyway, but it looked like that left foot just kind of slipped as he was diving for it.
Royals have their 5th hit. Tying run is on now, and here is Bonifacio. Got it started with the base on balls back in the 4th, and he has scored the Royals' only run so far. And he drives this one to right field. That's going to get down, base hit. Gordon will go to second, and the Royals now have something going here with 2 away. Back-to-back singles.
Pretty good swing there by Bonifacio. Fastball, didn't try to do too much with it, caught it out in front, and it continues to put up really good numbers against the Tigers with his new team.
All of the hits today for the Royals have been singles. Now Hosmer, single and a ground out. Inside, backs him out of there.
That's the second time he's gone up and in on Hosmer today. Although that one was not by design. That was a cutter that got away from him.
Here's the 1-0. Good block by Avila. 2-0 now on Hosmer. Royals getting a 2-out threat going here with singles by Gordon and Bonifacio, and now Fister has to deal with the middle of the Royals lineup. Tigers got 2 in the third on the home run by Iglesias.
Hosmer has 115 hits since the beginning of June, which is more than any other player in baseball. And when you look at the April and May that Hosmer had and the year that he had last year, you were wondering whether he would ever recapture that magic he had as a rookie. But he has again.
He had only 1 home run through the first 2 months of the year. 1. 14 since. Swing and a miss. 2-1.
No player in Major League Baseball has more hits than him since June 1st. That's fascinating. And I would say that because we've watched Victor for 2 months.
Yeah, Victor got it going in July. And July and August were better than anybody. The 2-1 pitch. Fouled back out of play. 2-2.
Going to have to make a quality pitch here. And Doug Fister has 3 really good pitches. He's got the cutter. He's got the 2-seam fastball. He has a good curveball and a changeup.
Tying run at second base. Go ahead run at first. We're in the bottom of the 5th here in KC. And he drives one in the air to center field. Jackson is on the run. Still going back. He looks up and that ball is gone. Eric Hosmer has just hit one out to center field and the Royals have taken the lead. Homer number 16 for Hosmer. Wow. All of this with 2 outs.
Doug Fister threw a fastball that got a little bit too much plate with 2 strikes. And Hosmer, very violent but very dangerous bat from the left side, hit that ball over the 410 sign in straightaway center field. He's legit. I mean, really, he can just flat out hit.
414 feet on a 2-2 pitch, and it's now 4-2 Kansas City.
That is something that Kansas City has done a lot of this year against the Tigers. We talk about their table setters and the fact that they can really run, but they have gotten huge home runs this year from Eustakis and Hosmer a couple different times. Perez yesterday, which puts their team in the lead late in games.
Grounded foul down the third baseline. Yeah, you tend to focus on all the stolen bases because they lead the league, but
Lorenzo Cain hit that real big home run late here against Papa Grande. They've got big hits this year against the Tigers.
Tigers have some activity now in the bullpen. A very hot day, temperature near 100 at the start of this one. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Billy Butler.
All the damage done here today by the top 3 in the order for the Kansas City Royals.
The high fly ball left field. Andy Dirks staring into the sunlight, waiting, and that will end the inning. Not before some big time damage is done. Eric Hosmer goes deep to center field. Nothing cheap about that one. Over 400 feet away, and the Royals have their first lead.
But concentrate on the second pitch here, not the first pitch. But look at this take by Hosmer. This is a breaking ball. You can tell that he is seeing the baseball really well right now by the way that he took that second breaking ball that was down. So if you're Fister now, you know you have to make a great pitch to get him out. Fister didn't do so. Hosmer won that battle.
And Bruce Chen now takes the mound with the lead as we go to the top of the 6th inning here at Kauffman Stadium.
Sometimes it's not how you're swinging the bat, but sometimes it's just how you take pitches, how you're seeing the ball into the catcher's glove.
That's driven in the air to left field. On the move is Gordon, still going back, looks up. That ball is up against the wall. Extra bases for Austin Jackson, who pulls in with a leadoff double. His first hit of this game. And the Tigers have something going now in the 6th. So quickly down by 2. Jackson doubles.
And Tigers will not go quietly here today. That's a changeup that's up in the zone. Jackson's bat sped up, and even Gordon, who plays very well in left field, couldn't run that one down.
And now Chen has to deal with the meaty part of the Tigers lineup. Hunter is 0 for 2.
This much we do know. And Tigers need to come back here before the 7th inning because that bullpen that Kansas City has right now is on lockdown alert.
Best in the league when you look at the numbers.
They're playing 6-inning games these days as far as the starting pitchers are concerned.
Hunter ground ball, fly ball. Here's the 1-0, and Torrey looks at a strike. Cabrera waiting on deck. Here's the 1-1. Fouled straight back. 1-2 on Torrey. Royals have scored all 4 of their runs in the last 2 innings. 1 in the 4th and 3 in the 5th on the Hosmer homer. We'll get back out of play. Torrey's average now has dipped below the 300 mark. He's at 299 with his 0 for 2 today, and now 2 for 10 in this series here against KC. And Chen missed it high and away. 2-2. Bruce Chen began the season in the bullpen for the Royals. He moved to the rotation in mid-July and has done really good work. An ERA of 3.02 as a starter coming into this start.
There are some that say they did that by design, knowing that Chen the last couple of years had tired in the second half of the year. Therefore, they had him in the bullpen to keep him fresh, knowing that in the month of July, possibly August, somebody else in the rotation would tire and they would simply insert Chen into that spot.
Well, he's going to be a free agent at the end of the year. Whether or not the Royals bring him back is yet to be seen, but he's very comfortable here. 58 is his pitch count, which is in tremendous shape.
Has not pitched in a lot of stress here today.
Fister, by comparison, has thrown 90 in this game.
All they want really is one more inning out of Bruce Chen today. If they can get more than that, they'll take it, but they just want 1 inning.
Two and 2 on Hunter. And it's high, 3 balls, 2 strikes. Chen loses Hunter here. He's got Cabrera to deal with 2 men on. He will not, though. He strikes him out. Chen has just picked up his 2nd strikeout. That's a big one.
Gutsy pitch thrown here by Bruce Chen on the 3-2 pitch. It's a breaking ball. You can see it come off the fingertips, and he threw it in a really nice area down by the back foot of Torrey Hunter.
So here is Cabrera, who has been held to an 0 for 2 today. Fly ball and a ground out. 421 this year with men in scoring position. And he sends a ground ball back to the mound. They'll throw to third, and a tag by Moustakas. A backhanded tag gets Jackson. Oh, they got lucky there. Moustakas wasn't quite to the bag. He made a terrific play.
As a rule of thumb, if you're already in scoring position, which Austin Jackson was, you can't go to third base on the ball simply hit to the shortstop or to the pitcher, and that is a whale of a tag by Moustakas.
All he could do was swipe back with the tag and hope that he made contact with the runner, and he did. 2 gone now with Fielder up there, and Prince looks at a ball outside. Cabrera at first on the fielder's choice. Fielder is 0 for 2, fly out, ground out. Ball high.
Here's one more look at that tag by Moustakas. Not even looking at Jackson. That's a no-look tag.
Yes, it is, and a good call down there by Marquez. Here's the 2-0. And now it's 3-0 on Prince. Victor Martinez on deck.
He might be picking his spot here to go after Victor Martinez. He has better numbers against right-handed batters than he does against left-handers. Don't know for sure, but might just be pitching around to Prince.
Here's the strike call. The 3-1 pitch. In there now, 3-2 on Fielder. Leadoff double by Jackson. He's erased on a tag play at third. There are 2 outs now for Detroit. And he got him, strike 3. Fielder is caught looking. Chen fell behind 3-0 and strikes out Prince. The season series, the numbers are really close, but the one that we've circled is one that's a little bit surprising.
It really is. I mean, we talk about the Kansas City Royals team and the fact that they have stolen more bases than any team on the planet, but the Tigers, they do a lot of their damage with the home runs, but Kansas City, they have out-homered them this year.
Well, they've had a big home run in this one. The Hosmer shot in the 5th inning, a 3-run homer to give the Royals a 4-2 lead. Fister back to work now facing Mike Moustakas. We're in the bottom of the 6th inning, and Moustakas looks at a strike 0-1. Moustakas in this game, a strikeout and a flyout. 0 for 2. 4 runs on 7 hits for KC. 2-5-0 for Detroit. And Fister missed inside. 1 ball, 1 strike. Doug at 90 pitches through 5 answers the bell here in the 6th. Kane and then Kataris to follow. Driven in the air toward left. Dirks on the run. 1 out and time for a game break now. Here's Mickey York. Thanks for the bad news, Mick. Tigers 5.5 up on Cleveland. That's why they're the Mets. 1 out here as we play in the 6th inning. Here is Lorenzo Cain. And he takes a strike 0-1. Cain in the ball game with a fly out. He reached on fielder's choice back in the 2nd, then was caught trying to steal. The 0-1 pitch. Swing and a miss out in front of the breaking ball.
And Doug Fister looking for a little easier inning. And 95 total pitches. 50 of those have come in the last 2 frames. That's a nice bender there.
Here's the 0-2. Tigers have 3 more on this road trip. And they've got Chicago next. They dropped 2 out of 3 in Boston, in danger of doing the same here in Kansas City. Again, the 0-2. That one sails outside. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Here's our high-speed stat, and it's brought to you by Xfinity. We told you last half, hitting a 92 mile per hour fastball, the top fastball today by Fister. Very seldom does he throw fastballs at 92. He's usually 87 to 91.
Swing and a miss, and Kane goes fishing. There are 2 gone. 4 strikeouts now for Mr. Fister. Hey, Sunday, September 15th, it's Kids Day at Comerica Park. The Tigers taking on these Kansas City Royals. It'll be a 108 start. All kids 14 and under receive a Jose Iglesias poster. For tickets, call 866-66-TIGER or visit tigers.com. Mark that date on your calendar. 2 outs. George Kataris will take a ball inside 1-0. Hitting just a .183. Kataris is 0 for 2. Strikeout, ground out. And now Fister reaching 100. A couple of 25 pitch innings, the 4th and 5th. And of course, those are the innings in which the Royals scored their runs. Little chopper back to the mound. Doug will handle this one. Kataris is out, and the inning is over. So 1, 2, 3, 6, which means we go to the 7th.
A game summary. Iglesias, his first at-bat since not playing the last couple of days, hasn't played since Boston. He gets the Tigers on the board in the third with a 2-run shot. Then you have Billy Butler driving in 1 run here. But the biggest blow of the afternoon came on a 2-2 pitch, straightaway center field. 3-run shot by their first baseman, Eric Hosmer.
Bruce Chen goes back out to the mound. The Tigers bat in the 7th in a 4-2 ball game. They've been out hit 7-5. And the Tigers have Martinez, Dirks, and Fonte.
Ned Yost, the manager of the Kansas City Royals, trying to stretch one more inning out of his starter, Bruce Chen, against the best offense in baseball. And one of the reasons for that is his bullpen has been taxed the last number of games. They've been working a lot.
Kelvin Herrera is warming up in their bullpen if needed, or I should say when needed. As Martinez looks at a strike on the outer edge.
We have about 4 or 5 guys down in that bullpen that have fastballs 97 to 101 miles an hour.
It's pretty good. Talk about being able to miss bats late in games, swing and a miss.
And when you add in the differential in speeds, when you go from Chen, whose top fastball is 86, to Herrera, who might come into this contest, he throws 100.
Chen wiggled out of a jam in the 6th after a leadoff double by Jackson. They ended up stranding a runner at first base. Jackson thrown out at third on a comebacker to the mound. Here's the 0-2. It's back into the seats.
I remember back in 2006, it was Jim's first year as Tigers manager, and Kenny Rogers was one of his starting pitchers, and he would always back Kenny Rogers up with Joe Zumaya.
Yeah, that was always fun for opposing hitters. Here's the 0-2. Ball high. It was especially fun in day games, too.
Because Gambler, his fastball, topped out at about 90, 91 on a good day. And of course, Zumaya came in that year, and he was 102, 103.
Here's the 1-2. Tipped it into the glove for strike 3. Chen now with 4 strikeouts. Victor's out of there. Hey, don't forget to join us again tomorrow. The Tigers head to Chicago to take on the White Sox. Coverage begins at 7 with Tigers Live. Guess who's on the hill tomorrow?
It's the third try for Max to get win number 20, and he's pitched awfully well this season against the White Sox.
I've got a feeling he's going to do it tomorrow. Tune in right here on Fox Sports Detroit. 1 out. Here's Andy Dirks, who is 0 for 2 flyout strikeouts. He'll lift that one back out of play. 1 ball, 1 strike on Dirks.
If you're looking at the pitch count and you're Ned Yost, your pitcher couldn't be in any better shape in the 7th inning, having only thrown 75 pitches.
You're talking about guys that throw hard. Chen, when he came into the league, and it was the National League, he broke in '98. He did throw hard, but Tommy John surgery in 2008, and he kind of reinvented himself. Came to spring training with the Royals, worked on his different arm angles, and was sent down to the minor leagues. Then about halfway through the season in '09, he got to the big leagues, and he's been here since.
If you look up a crafty left-hander in the dictionary, you would find Chen's name there, along with a lot of other left-handers.
Francisli Bueno has now joined Kelvin Herrera. There's a high fly ball right field, right center field. Dyson and Kane, and it's Kane. 2 gone.
Kane plays more center field than right field, and he is battling the sun out there. Looked like a little bit with the shades on the back of his cap. I think he's put them on now.
Just in case he had to catch one backwards.
That is a helpless feeling. If you do not have your glasses on and you lose a ball in the lights, it is tough to go in that dugout without getting chewed out by your skipper.
Here's Infante. There's a strike on the outer edge. 1-1 on Omar. 4-2 KC. We're in the 7th. The difference, a 3-run shot by Eric Hosmer. Line drive to center. Dyson coming on to make the catch.
They covered so much ground in that outfield.
1-2-3 inning for Chen. Detroit is brought to you by Comerica Bank, a part of Detroit and the community since 1849. Your Metro Detroit Chevy dealers. Visit ChevyDetroit.com and see why Chevy drives the Motor City. And by Wallside Windows, the official window company of Fox Sports Detroit. Back here in KC on a steamy hot day here. Temperature was 98, 99 around that at game time. 4-2 KC. And here is the AT&T trivia question again. Who was the first Major League player in history to play all 9 positions in a single game? And the answer is, you got to go back to 65. Bert Campaneris of the then Kansas City Athletics was the first to play all 9 positions in a single game. Shane Halter would later do it, who I believe still lives in the Kansas City area. 4-2 is our score here, and Doug Fister will answer the bell.
And Doug works so quickly and gets himself ready so quickly that the umpire at second base, that would be Scott Berry, has to slow him down.
Michigan native Scott Berry went to Olivet College.
He came to the ballpark today in his Lions gear.
Did he really?
He sure did.
Big Lions fan. John Keening did a really good interview with him.
He was all geared up.
Dyson fouls it back as he starts things off in the home half of the 7th. Dyson, Escobar, and then Gordon. 4 runs on 7 hits for KC. 2-5-0 for Detroit. And Dyson backs out of there. 1 ball, 1 strike. Fly out, strikeout for Gerard Dyson. And he rolls that one foul.
And Doug Fister continuing to give Dyson a steady diet of either changeups and breaking pitches.
Royals came into this game having won 10 of their last 14. They are leading in this one as well. Dyson takes low, and the count levels now at 2 balls, 2 strikes. Luke McConan and Phil Koch loosening in the Detroit bullpen. That is a fair ball. Down the first base line, Dyson is off to the races. He may try it for 3. There he goes. On his way to third, the throw cut off. It's a triple for Gerard Dyson. scary proposition. When he hits one to the corner, man, he's off to the races.
On the previous pitch, it was a 91-mile-per-hour fastball that he missed with. So if you're Dyson, you know you're going to get an off-speed pitch, which he did. That's not a bad breaking ball by Doug Fister, but Dyson was anticipating it, and watch him run.
A huge leadoff triple here in the 7th inning. Now we'll see if the Royals can get him in. Tigers will bring the infield in. Escobar is single and a fly ball. And he looks at ball 1. 8th hit of the game now for KC.
Escobar can really handle the bat. He has 8 sacrifice bunts, which leads their club along with Chris Getz. So the squeeze play always has to be in the back of your mind if you're the Tigers.
Bender that drops in, and the count evens now at 1-1.
And it really wouldn't take a great bunt if Escobar was trying to bunt to get Dyson home.
Yeah, no doubt. And Escobar giving a long look down at Eddie Rodriguez, who is also telling Dyson something. And that one missed high.
Last night, Bonifacio with 2 outs bunted for a base hit. Escobar was on third base at that time, and he was able to basically walk home.
Fouled back out of play. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Fister now at 110 in this game on a very hot day. Wiping perspiration off his brow. Fister had 112 in his last start. He doesn't really get much more than or higher than what he is right now. 118 is his high water mark, and that was against the Royals. A little slow roller hit to short. They're not going to score the run here. Escobar is out. Dyson holds. 1 gone. That's a start for Doug. He's going to bring Jim Leland out. You've got Gordon coming up. You've got Koch warming up in the bullpen. And the skipper takes the baseball. So the Tigers go to the bullpen and say wall-side windows pitching change. Here comes Phil Koch to face Alex Gordon. We'll be back to KC. .111 pitches in extreme heat. He will leave the ballgame trailing 4-2 and responsible for the man at third base. And the Tigers will hand the baseball over now to Phil Koch, who will try and get the lefty Alex Gordon. Still only 1 out with a runner at third.
And Phil Koch has pretty good numbers in his career against Alex Gordon. Gordon just 1 for 14 against Phil. Dyson wasn't coming on contact when Escobar was in the batter's box, but he will be coming on contact now.
Infield still in. Strike called on Gordon. There you go. 1 for 14 with 4 strikeouts. An .071 average.
And very important for Avila if he does call for the breaking ball, which is a pitch he's going to need to get Gordon out. Avila has to get over and smother it. He has to block it if Phil Koch bounces it.
Here's the 0-1. Little pop up, shallow right field. That ball's going to get down. Base hit. How about that? Infield in, and he just looped it over the second baseman's head into short right field.
Omar's got some pretty good range at second base, but I don't know if he would have gotten there had he been playing at his regular second base depth. That was a breaking ball. Looked like Phil Koch missed with his location. It looked like Avila wanted that away, and it was inside to Gordon. No shot for Infante.
Yeah, I think he might have gotten there. You don't think he would have gotten there?
He's got some good range. I mean, he probably would have. But
the problem is he would have probably had to make the catch with his back to the infield. Although Dyson probably wouldn't have tagged up on that. But anyway, it's 5-2.
But that was the right play there to have the infield in.
No doubt. Gordon gets his 76th RBI, and now it's 5-2 in favor of the Royals. Here's Bonifacio. That run will be charged to Fisker, so his line is complete. Royals now 3 for 7 with men in scoring position today. And Emilio has not had a hit in his career against Koch.
Told you yesterday, if you weren't with us, that their first base coach, Rusty Kuntz, is a really good base running coach. One of the reasons why they steal so many bases. And one of the things that he likes to do is study a lot of videos, studies a lot of film to see if he could pick up something in the pitcher which gives his base runners an advantage.
Bonifacio taking at his high, 1 ball and no strikes. Gordon, not one of the guys that you overly concern yourself with stealing a base, but he does have 9 of 12.
And the left-hander being on the mound, Phil Koch should slow him down a little bit as well.
Here he goes, and a swing and a foul.
That was a hit and run. And Gordon did not get a good break. He simply waited until Phil Koch threw that ball home, and Ned Yost was hoping that Bonifacio would put the ball in play. Something else that tells you that's a hit and run after the base runner, they take about 2 or 3 steps. They look in toward home plate to see if contact was made.
One ball, 1 strike. Bonifacio, a walk, a single, 2 runs scored in this game. Royals now have 9 hits in this game. Tigers have 5. It's a 3-run spread as we play here in the 7th. Bouncing ball to second. Infante to second one. Relay to first. Not in time. Fielder's choice. 2 outs.
Going to break up Hosmer. 3-run home run the last time he was up. Got a 2-2 fastball down the middle and hit it 414 feet and from home plate for a 3-run shot.
That home run by Hosmer, his 16th. He now has 73 RBIs, 2 for 7 against Phil Koch in this lefty-lefty matchup. Ball one outside.
Hosmer's had to fight after a very poor month of April and a very poor month of June. His batting average now sits at an even 300.
Hosmer has hit safely now in 11 of his last 12. Here's the 1-0. 2 balls, no strikes. Hosmer third on the Royals now in RBIs. Gordon 76 leads the way. Then Butler at 74. Hosmer a little tapper right back over the mound. Iglesias quick throw not in time. A head first dive for Hosmer. It'll be a single infield hit.
Very dangerous play there if you're Ned Yost, the manager of the Kansas City Royals, when you see your star first baseman leave his feet and try to get an infield single by sliding head first.
It's going to bring Jim Leland out. And another wall side windows pitching change. Koch will depart. They've got Butler coming up. Tigers want the right-hander. Peconin coming in. We'll be back. Games with 4 home runs and 9 runs driven in for the Boston Red Sox. The Reds getting hot right now. They pick up 2 games in the Central Division.
That rookie speedster Billy Hamilton that the Cincinnati Reds called up in September is a major reason why they have won 5 of their last 6 games. He does not have an at-bat, but he has stolen 3 key bases late in games, and he's come around to score.
Who was the designated runner for the A's? Herb Washington back in the day? When Charlie Finley just brought him up because he could run and run.
I'm not sure.
And run. That's it. Here's Luke Peconin. So Peconin now is in with 2 men on. There's a strike called. 0-1 on Billy Butler. Now Peconin steps off. Tigers trying to stop the bleeding here. They're down by 3 as we play late in this game.
Yeah, Billy Butler's their best hitter with runners in scoring position, so Peconin needs to make a quality pitch here with 2 outs to get Butler out.
Fly ball, center field, hit well. Jackson on the move, still going back. Warning track to make the catch. right in front of the wall. Butler hit it a ton but fell short, and the Tigers will end up giving up just 1 run here in the 7th inning. On their way to the 8th, now 5-2. The Tigers take on the Seattle Mariners at 7:08. First 10,000 fans receive a Max Scherzer jersey backpack. For tickets, call 866-66-TIGER or log on to Tigers.com. Score yourself the Max Scherzer jersey backpack. And hopefully Mad Max will have his 20th win by then. Well, it is 5-2 in favor of the Royals here as we go to the 8th.
Here is today's high-speed stat, is brought to you by Charter Internet. And you talk about good penmanship. Their bullpen, the Royals bullpen, has been on lockdown basically all season. And here are their American League ranks in ERA, the opponent's batting average, the whip, and the strikeouts to walks ratio. 51-6 when leading after 7 innings. So Tigers have some work to do here today.
It'll be Avila to start things off against Herrera. Avila, Iglesias, and then Jackson.
Herrera's got a big arm. The first fastball that he throws will be 98, 99 miles an hour, 69 strikeouts, and just 21 walks this year in 54 plus innings for Herrera.
And the first pitch is in for a strike. Avila in this game has hit into a double play. He's also singled and scored on the 2-run home run by Iglesias. Tigers, though, have been out hit 10-5 in this game. Here's the 0-1. 1 ball, 1 strike, 100 miles an hour.
I don't think there's another team in the American League or the National League that boasts as many arms as the Kansas City Royals, as guys that have fastballs that can reach the upper 90s. I mean, these guys are well above 95 miles an hour.
Big reason why they have those numbers we just showed you. There's a strike call. 99.
Coach Avery yesterday, he was 98. Wade Davis, he was 98. And their closer Holland, he was all the way up to 99 yesterday. Didn't see the little left-hander, Tim Collins, but he's 95 and above himself.
The 1-2. Off the plate, 2 balls, 2 strikes. Well, the Tigers haven't scored since getting 2 in the 3rd on the home run by Iglesias. It looked like they might get off to a really good start here today and run some runs up there, but Bruce Chen pretty good. He gives his manager 7 strong innings. Here's the 2-2. Fly ball, right field. Lorenzo Cain is over there to make the play, 1 out.
Let's take a look at the big boys' big play of the game, and it happened way back in the third inning for the Tigers. Iglesias did not play the first 2 games of the series, but he got a start here today. And his first at bat, a 2-run home run, his 3rd home run this year, his 2nd as a Tiger.
He'll try and get something started here with 1 out in the 8th inning. And Herrera with a fastball at 101 misses inside.
And the ball comes out of Herrera's hand very nicely. Nice, easy delivery. And the ball just explodes on the hitter.
That one missed. 2 balls, no strikes. Six appearances this year against the Tigers. They are 4 for 21 against Herrera. Now 4 for 22 actually, which is a sub 200 average. Here's the 2-0. Iglesias taking all the way, showing bunt. Looks at a strike, 2-1. A stark contrast from the soft tossing lefty Bruce Chen, who they've seen for 7 innings. Chen retired the last 6 in a row he faced. Low, and it's 3-1.
Top fastball by Bruce Chen today, 87 miles an hour.
Looked pretty good. 3-1. Here's the strike, 3-2. I don't know that it ever pays to take 2 or 3 steps to first base before the umpire makes his call. Full count. That'll get fouled down the right field line as Iglesias tries to catch up with 100. Tigers have only stranded 2 base runners in this game, but they really haven't had too many. They've been limited to 5 hits. And again the 3-2. Popped up right side of the infield. Bonifacio to the grass. Iglesias is out 2 away. And we'll bring up Austin Jackson. A double and 3 at bats for Jackson. His 2-base hit led things off in the 6th inning when the Tigers were down by 2, but they couldn't get him in. Jackson 1 for 7 against Herrera career. And there's a strike. Used to be where a guy throwing 90, 91 was really bringing it. Then it was 95, 96. He was really bringing it. And now guys throwing over 100 miles an hour.
Every pitch but one that Herrera has thrown has been 95 miles an hour and above.
Jackson couldn't hold up on that breaking ball.
100 miles an hour with the fastball, and he comes back with a slide piece at 83. Not fair.
1-2. 5-2 Royals lead. We're in the top of the 8th. 2 out, nobody on for Detroit. Here's the 1-2. Just got a piece up to stay alive. Awfully nice weapon to have coming out of your bullpen. A guy that throws as hard as Herrera does. A native of the Dominican Republic. It's fouled down the right field line again at 101. 76 appearances last year for Herrera. 2.35 ERA. Really establishing himself as a setup man here in KC. And again the 1-2. Swing and a miss, struck him out. Jackson down on strikes. Herrera breezing through the Tiger lineup in the 8th. The Tigers 10-5 in this one, and Fox Sports 1 is available on all TV providers. Go to foxsports1.com to find out what channel Fox Sports 1 is on in your area. The Tigers have a new pitcher now as Al Albuquerque takes over in the 8th. And he'll face Mike Moustakas, Lorenzo Cain, and George Kataris as he swings in the first and rolls it fair inside the bag. Juggled by Martinez, but Victor makes the plays, one gone. That'll bring up Lorenzo Cain. Cain is 0 for 3. Tigers today have gone with Koch, Pekonen, and now Albuquerque. And that is it for a strike. No balls and 1 strike to count on Lorenzo Cain. We're coming to you from Kauffman Stadium here in KC. Welcome to Lions fans who watched the Lions beat the Vikings 34-24. Mario and Pemba, Rod Allen, we are glad you're with us here today. Joe Nicola is our producer, and Brian Moss is our director from KC this afternoon.
Last game, potentially, for Joe Nicola this year with the Tigers. He's got hockey duty starting shortly.
Well, we're going to have to come back then and win this game for him. Here's the 0-2. Oh, where'd that one go? That's what Cain wants to know as he looks back at Albuquerque. 1-2. Yikes. Now the 1-2. And it missed high. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Cain a fly out, ground out, strikeout. Swing and a miss. 2 gone. The Tigers early on in this game, if you're just joining us, took an early 2-0 lead on a home run by Jose Iglesias. It came in the 3rd inning. Bruce Chen, though, is really good today. 7 strong, gave up just 2 earned runs. And, we talk about all the speed, but Eric Hosmer, 3-run shot. that right now has been one of the major differences.
Bruce Chin, one of those guys that doesn't touch 90 miles an hour with his fastball. Assortment of different breaking balls, arm angles, different slots. Gives you a comfortable 0 for 4.
Gutierrez 0 for 3 in this game. And a strike on the outer edge. 1-1.
Their closer Holland is down in the bullpen getting ready. He's about close to coming in the top half of the 9th inning, but he'll have to go right through the heart of the Tigers batting order.
Meanwhile, for the Tigers, Doug Fister was good through 4 innings, and in fact got the first 2 batters in the 5th, and then an infield single by Gordon, and 2 batters later a 3-run shot by Hosmer. And then the Royals added 1 more in the 7th on a single by Gordon and driving a run. Here's the 1-2. And he got him, strike 3. Gutierrez is 0 for 4 as he punches out. 2 strikeouts for Albuquerque. Holland coming in to try and save this one for the Royals. Hunter Cabrera, fielder, coming up. Coming up, and with a preview of that, we go down to John Keating.
Mario, it's the meat of the Tigers' order coming up in the 9th inning, so hopefully there's some rally there. Regardless, we'll have all the post-game reaction from Jim Leyland and perhaps a disconsolate Doug Fister, who got the start in the series finale here against the Royals today. The Tigers looking for a little magic in the 9th, Mario.
Well, we'll see if we can find it. It's going to be Holland, their closer, coming on to face Hunter, Cabrera, and Fielder.
He got a save in last night's game. He got the Tigers out 1-2-3. Jackson was the final strikeout of the ball game for Holland.
Torrey showing bunt, looks at a strike, and that's how we start the 9th.
Holland has a fastball that can get up to 99 miles an hour. He's got a really good breaking ball and an outstanding split-fingered pitch. 38 saves this year for their closer. He's blown 3.
Torrey in the ball game is 0 for 3. Here's the 0-1. Popped up. Shallow right field. Here comes Kane in fair territory, and 1 gone.
Tigers have done that a lot today. Either Kane or Dyson, their center fielder. They've made quite a few plays. Alex Gordon not as busy today in left. He was awfully busy yesterday.
Only 2 for 11 against Holland for Miguel Cabrera.
That gives you an idea of how good Holland is. Anybody that can hold Miggy to a 2 for 11.
Big swing there, 0-1. Holland last night moved past Doug Bird and into 4th in the Kansas City career list, 59 save category. Here's the 0-1. Oh, right back to the mound and knocked down by Holland, who throws him out. A bullet. And he threw his glove out.
And look what I found.
Two gone. Tigers down to their final out. Otherwise, they will drop 2 out of 3 here in Kansas City. Fielder is 0 for 3. Down the left field line. Gordon is on the move, still going, and out of room. It's up against the wall. 0-1 on Prince. Royals have not had a closer save at least 40 in a season since Joaquim Soria did it in 2010. Here's the 0-1. Missed it inside. 1 ball, 1 strike. Mets in Cleveland 1-1. That game in the 9th inning. Now the 1-1. Drilled to center field. That's going to get down. Base hit, maybe more. Dyson goes over to cut it off in the corner, but it's going to go all the way to the wall, or the gap, I should say, and that's a double. The Tigers not done yet.
One of the things that we've always talked about since Prince Fielder put on the Tigers uniform, yes, he's big and strong and has a lot of power, but for a left-hander, his bat is lightning quick. Now, that fastball is 98 miles an hour turned around by Prince Fielder.
The Tigers have their 6th hit. They need 1 more base runner to bring the tying run to the plate. Victor Martinez, a double, a fly out, and a strikeout. 2 out of 5 against Holland. Ground ball, second base should do it. Bonifacio gobbles it up, and the Royals win 2 out of 3 from Detroit.
They just outplayed the Tigers in 2 of the 3 games here. Tigers beat them up bad on Friday, but it was pretty much all Royals after that.
16 runs on 26 hits in game 1, but the Royals respond with back-to-back wins last night and today, as Holland gets his 40th save. And KC goes 5-2 on their homestand as they get ready to hit the road as well. There's your final score, 5-2, as the Royals win it here today and take 2 out of 3 from the Tigers. Back with more from Kauffman Stadium.